welcome back to Baron's Den for another Season 3 roster change video, and this time we're looking at humans. So going into this edition, we got wind that we thought the positional numbers would change because they're going with what's in the box. I think everyone was in agreement that the two teams that would probably be worst hit by this were the Orcs and the humans. Now, I've already looked at the Orcs earlier today and given my opinion on where I think they are, and overall I think they're going to be okay. Will the humans have the same fate? Well, let's find out. So, first of all, human linemen, not much has changed. They're still your bog standard, salt of the earth, average Blood Bowl players. With movement 6 average, strength 3 average, edge 3 plus average, passing 4 plus average, armour 9 plus average, cost 50k average for a lineman. And they've got general, which is your average skill access, so he's literally Mr. Average and he doesn't have any skills, but that's okay. He does have agility and strength on secondary, and he does have devious on secondary, which is okay. It's not great because it's not on primary, and if you want anyone to have devious, it's probably your human linemen, so they can stick the boot in a bit. So it's not as good as goblins, for example, or zombies for the necromantic team, or the dwarf linemen. However, at least it's got secondary access to it, unlike some of the alpha teams and the Bretonian team, for example, that don't have any access to devious skills. So that's good. At least it has a player who can target those skills should you need them. So overall, not too much to worry about with the human lineman. The Halfling Hopeful. So you're allowed 4 of these dudes if you wish them. And again, they're exactly the same. Movement 5, Strength 2, Edge 3 plus, Passing 4 plus, and Armour 7 plus for the bargain cost of 30,000 gold pieces. Only comes with agility on primary, and then your general, your strength, and now devious as well. Again, not bad, but already we can draw parallels to the Orcs. Did you notice that the Orcs got primary access to general and strength, which is big for them to make up for some of their lack of strength? Well, humans have lost 2, and the linemen didn't get any extra primary access. And now their stunty option has only got agility access on primary, no devious access, which makes sense from a lore point of view. The goblin had it in the Orcs because goblins are the most devious race out there. Well, Skaven might have a word with you about that, but one of certainly the most devious races in the Warhammer world. So it makes sense that they'd have it. But you know what? Halflings are very devious. They're very sneaky. Known for their pilfering. They should, in my opinion, have devious as well on primary. And I think it's when I get to halflings, it's going to really hurt them that they don't have half of the tricks and toys that the goblins do. And obviously that affects the humans as well, because had this been devious, then in primary, then this would be a little fowler. This would be your guy who's going to stock up on those devious skills. But as it is, you know, you're gonna more than double his cost just to stick Sneaky Git on him. So he's actually worse for that than he would have been in Blood Bowl 2020, because at least then he had agility on primary, so he could get easy access to Sneaky Git. So whilst there is no red on here, I actually think the Halfling Hopeful on the human team has taken a bit of a dip because of that Sneaky Git moving to devious. One thing I will say is it does appear with a few new skills such as Bullseye to help with throw teammate, and some of the other rules regarding that, halflings might be a better option as a thrown missile or as a throw teammate score option. So there's that to consider as well. But on the whole, they haven't changed much, but that might hurt them in the long run. Oh, the human thrower. The human thrower. So, good news. He's got less expensive, and he can get devious on secondary. And to punish you for those excellent upgrades, we've given him passing 3 plus. What is this? What is this? Now, I'd be okay with this if there was a reduction in passing generally. But they make a big deal about trying to make passing a bit better. They push the Imperial Nobility thrower into the 2 plus territory. But then they've taken the human thrower down. I just don't understand it. The only way I can understand it is that they didn't want Old World and Renegades to have 2 plus throwers. And they're all human throwers, aren't they? So they decided to give them all 3 plus. But that's very unfair on the humans. They're already losing so much. They've basically lost 2 catchers, 2 blitzers, and essentially 2 throwers. Because before, when they were 2+ throwing, they were a really good option. At 3+, I know I might talk quite positively about 3+ passing on other teams, but for humans, passing was an important part of the game. It wasn't necessarily the go-to strategy, but being able to have you throw a caged up and have a catcher run on, if that catcher wasn't tagged or didn't go down, if he was ignored, that would be a nice little out for you instead of having to break through a screen or a column defense. You could throw the ball sideways or even back and get your catcher to switch it to the flank. Those options aren't going to be as easy this time, so I'm very disappointed that they did that. I don't know why. If anything, the thrower should have been made better to counteract the fact that they've just dropped in catches and blitzers. So yes, unhappy about what they've done to the human thrower. And I am Mr. Positive, and I've been positive about a lot of things, but that one is one that annoyed me. Human catcher. So first of all, yeah, 0-2. This, considering I was on such a downer about the thrower, I personally couldn't care less about this because I never ran more than 2 catches anyway. I can't remember a time when I ran more than 2 catches. I think because I do rate the catcher on the human team. You know, it's moving 8. It was very cheap at 65k. With coming with catch and dodge, he could get block, and it was an annoying piece. And I would run 1 as a fouler, because it was still relatively cheap and had general and agility access. So yeah, it was that dirty player sneaky git combination that was so good, and I wouldn't need another one personally. It's just not the way I played my humans. Now some people are going to have run 4 catches, so they will be hurt more by it. So it would be wrong of me to ignore that. But my opinion of that is that the loss of blitzers is way more important than the loss of catchers. But let's carry on. This is very good. So having the catcher go to strength 3 is huge. Just ask a Skaven player if they'd like their gutter runners to go to strength 3. They'd be saying yes, please. It just means they're going to be harder to blitz, because you're going to need a strength 4 piece if you want a single model to do a 2-die block. Well, or more, I suppose. Or you're going to have to get assists on this guy now, whereas before, that was the beauty of hitting strength 2 pieces that were ball carriers, that you could usually do it with just 1 model and still get your 2-die block. So, yeah, that's really good. This is neither here nor there, really, because you're not really going to be passing with a catch too often. Again, like I've said with all of them, it's always welcome, because there are going to be the rare instances where the catcher's the only person who can get to the ball, and you might need them to try and throw it, and having some sort of passing ability does help with that. Yeah, the cost has gone up, but that's fair because of the strength going up. You've basically played 10k for a strength up. It's pretty good, isn't it, really? It's a bit of a bargain. So that's not really a bad thing. And again, devious on secondary, it's too expensive, really, I think, to be taking sneaky git and dirty player on the catcher now. You may as well put it on the halfling, who's overall cheaper than the catcher. So you don't think you're going to be building your catch that way. And you've only got 2 of them now, says the person who ran 1 ball carrying catcher and 1 fouling catcher. So yeah, human catchers on the whole, they've done all right. I think they've done better. Certainly a lot better than the thrower. Okay, the human blitzer. So yeah, this is huge. Going from 0-4 to 0-2 hurts them a lot. Just like what I was talking about with the blitzers and big guns on the orc team. But the difference there is that they did a good job of making up for doing that by adding in a lot of interesting things, like making the big guns so much better, giving the blitzers break tackle, giving the linemen strength access. And here they have given some stuff. So they've given, first of all, they've given devious, taken away passing, but given devious on secondary. Don't know how likely you are to take anything from devious, but it's an option. And they've got tackle. Now, tackle is actually, of all of the new skills that have been given to blitzers, break tackle, tackle, and strip ball are the 3 that come to mind. Tackle is the best one of those for me. It's a nice one to have for free, and it's going to make those dodgy teams a little bit more uncomfortable earlier on, because your humans will be rocking up with 2 block tackle players. So these are going to be great skink hunters, war dancer hunters, gutter runner hunters. Though they will fear these players. Well, less so War Dancers, I suppose, because they've already got block. But any dodge piece that hasn't got block yet will hate the sight of this human blitzer. So they have made them better, and they haven't increased the cost. So that's good. Ogre. This is a weird one. Look, apparently the human ogre's got mutation. Now, I can't think why that would be not a misprint or a typo or something. I'm wondering whether they were supposed to get passing access because they're trying to make passing and throw a teammate more of a thing. So to give them passing on a secondary and they put M in by mistake. I'm not sure. Maybe your ogres can mutate. I mean, they are beastly creatures and we've seen two-headed ogres. So, no, I mean, I think it's a mistake, to be honest. That's why I put a question mark on it. So that could be just nothing, or it could be passing, maybe. They've still got the strength access. They're basically the same, but they have been buffed very slightly because instead of being lone of 4+, they're lone of 3+. So it does technically make them less lonely than the troll for the orcs. So that's good for them as well. So when you look at them piece by piece, it doesn't necessarily, apart from the thrower, look too bad. But, before we go on looking at the pros and cons, let's quickly go over the team rules. So 50k rerolls is good. You can't get them cheaper than that. Apothecary, yes. All World Classic, so they get a lot of the decent star players. And Team Captain, which we talked about with the Orcs, which I'll go over again in a minute, is going to be really useful for the humans. So Team Captain is basically you choose someone to be your captain and they gain the pro skill, and then while they're on the pitch, if you try and use a reroll, you can roll a d6, and if you roll a 6, you get to have that reroll for free and you don't lose one of your rerolls. But you have always got to set up your captain. You can't put him on the bench unless he's injured. And you can repick a captain only if they've been killed. These are the basics. Now that's really good. Again, pro, who would you be giving that to on this team? You can't give it to the big guy. So you might be wanting to give it to the blitzer so you can try and guarantee the hits a little bit more. Or you might be wanting to give it to the catcher, just to give it a bit of help, maybe picking the ball off the floor or re-rolling a rush maybe, I don't know. But it's still a really nice one to have, and the fact that it might save you a re-roll now and then is really good as well. I've added secure the ball out. It's worth mentioning that they can all secure the ball apart from the ogre. So again, that's not bad, is it? If you decide to go no throwers because they can't actually throw the ball anymore, then you know you've got players who can pick up the ball. You can have your blitzer pick up the ball and run it on one of the blitzers. But as you've now only got 2, you might not have an intended ball running blitzer. So yeah, secure the ball will be good for the humans. So on to the pros and cons. And like I said, individually it didn't look horrendous, but let's put the picture together. Starting off with the cons. Losing 2 blitzers, massive. The blitzers are by far the best pieces, I think, on the human team, and I think that will hurt them no end. Losing 2 catchers, I don't think is much of a big deal, personally. If they'd have kept 4 blitzers and just lost 2 catchers, I wouldn't really be discussing it as too much of a down. There's going to be players out there who utilise the full 4 catchers, and objectively, I suppose, it is a loss of 2 positionals. So, whilst not as important as the blitzers, still not great. Thrower reduced to passing 3+ is the one that really bugs me. It's not the end of the world, but it just feels unnecessary. And he's going to put you off doing a pass for, like, when you've got a passing 2+ piece, it can encourage you to just try that pass out more often, even if you don't need to. Be a bit more cavalier with it. Whereas with passing 3+, you're already thinking, I'm only going to do this when I need to. And it might even put people off taking the throw altogether. I said in the last video, I will always try and utilise all positionals, even if it means only buy one of them. For example, in Blood Bowl 2020, I did not like the Sneaky Stabber for the Chaos Dwarves. I just thought it didn't have enough to set it apart from the Hobgoblins. I thought it should have had extra movement or dodge or agility access or something. Give it something to make it better than the Hobgoblins. But if I'd have run them in League, I'd have still taken one because I like to try and field the team as it's intended, even if it means I don't go max on those positionals. So I'll be trying to run a throw when I play as humans, but probably only one now, which is a bit sad. Catchers, increased cost. It's easy con because you don't want your your pieces to get more expensive. But considering it's had a strength increase, that's absolutely fine. And the blitzer lost passing access, but you're not really going to care about that. So for me, it's losing 2 blitzers and the thrower going down to 3+ passing. Now, when I did this with the Orcs, we were pretty despondent in the cons, but when we went over to the pros were so good as well that it kind of counterbalanced what we were seeing. Let's see if these pros counterbalance that. So, catcher strength 3. It's good. It's very good. Just is it amazing? I don't know. I think if they hadn't done it, there'd have been a riot. So as it is, it's okay. It's good. I mean, it's a lot better than strength 2. Blitzer gaining tackle, I think he's good. Yep. That's going to really help you against certain teams. And, okay, there's going to be times where you play and there's not going to be any opposition players with dodge. You're going to think, ugh, this tackle is wasted. But that's why it's nice when it's rolled into a player as a starting skill, because then you feel like it's not bloat. It's just part of the makeup of the player. Some secondary devious access is a minor thing. It's going to be expensive in this Blood Bowl. You won't be able to random any secondaries, so you're not going to random dirty player or sneaky git or the lone fowler or some of the other cool new fouling ones. You're going to have to choose that, so that's a lot of TV you're going to have to put down. Sorry, a lot of value you're going to put onto your overall TV. The thrower is reduced in cost, but if it's at the expense of going to passing 3+, I actually think that's a con anyway. Team captain's good. I don't think it's quite as good as for the humans as it is for the orcs, but it is still good. And the ogre going to loner 3+ is good. But overall, I don't think that counteracts what they've lost. So I actually think the humans have lost out in this edition, especially when compared to the orcs. It did get me wondering, conspiracy theory coming up. I've thought for a while, the more that they've delved into individual nations, such as they looked at Kislev's circus in Blood Bowl 3. I know that was Cyanide, not GW, but GW obviously signed off on it. And this was before they'd gone back into the old world and looked at the Kislev stuff, and before they'd arrived on Total War. But we've now seen Bretonnians added in. You can bet that Cathay will be coming along, and then maybe Kislev in the future. So when they've got more human races involved as their nations, will there be the need for a human team anymore? What I like to do is I like to try and think of, when I'm thinking of my names for my teams, I often think of a place in the Warhammer world and then give it a sporting name to go with it. So my orc team is the Iron Rock Rumblers, because I like to think that they're based at the Iron Rock, which is an orc stronghold in Warhammer Fantasy. And really, when you think of human places in the old world, you think of Altdorf. So I've got Altdorf United. What kind of team would that be? Well, it'd be Imperial Nobility because it's in the Empire. I've got my Carcassonne Crusaders, which is going to be my Bretonnian team when they come. And obviously, you think, well, actually, what part of the Warhammer world is represented as just humans? Even places like Albion, you think, well, they're more druidy. They don't look like this. So that just got me thinking: are they going to be phasing humans out eventually? It's just a wild theory. They've got no reason, nothing to back that up. But could this first step along that path be that they're not as invested in making humans really good? Because at some point in the future, they might just think, we don't need the humans anymore. Because that's not going to happen with orcs, because you're always going to have orcs in Blood Bowl. Orcs, not only are they a catch-all term, but they are also a specific race of or greenskins within the Warhammer world, whereas humans is a catch-all term for all the different races. What I'm trying to say. So, take the Iron Rock. They are orcs in the Iron Rock, or Black Orcs, I suppose, as well. Whereas humans covers all of the different nations. So I just wonder whether we'll lose them. And the same goes for Elven Union eventually. Will we lose Elven Union? Because I think that basically they are a hangover from an earlier edition of Blood Bowl, back from before they fleshed out High Elves, Wood Elves, and Dark Elves. And so, again, are they going to think, do we still need Elven Union? And that might come up again when we get to doing the pros and cons for Elven Union. Anyway, I've just rambled on about the fate of humans. What I'm saying is I think they've gone down a little bit. Other people will be saying they've gone down a lot. and I think it's too early for me to know that yet. But I don't think there's any doubt that they are a little bit weakened and that they are going to be a bit more underdogs in this edition. It's just how much of underdogs they are will be what we've got to find out. Although could be wrong. Plenty of Blood Bowl to be played yet, where the humans can prove me wrong. So I thought now we've done a few teams, we can have a look at the winners and losers that we've done so far. So I've got here the golden ups, the neither ups or downs, the down, and I thought I'd do a double down category for anyone I think's had a shocking time. Now, me being Mr. Positive, we're probably not going to find anybody in here, but I know I've heard some people already throwing 3 of these 5 teams into this section, and a lot more that I haven't done yet. I don't think it's anywhere near that bad. So there's the Necromantic Horror with a golden up. I am starting to think whether I over-exaggerated that, because whilst they only saw buffs, they were mainly minorish buffs. Minorish to good buffs, nothing like out of this world. But I just think Necromantic were already great. You could argue that Amazons and Orcs could come over into good because of the fact that they've stayed at a good, decent potential. But this isn't necessarily, I think this team's better than the Amazons. I don't. I just think compared to where they were at, they've made a bigger improvement than the Amazons have. So that's important to know. I'm not saying that the Amazons are in the midfield of teams, not by any stretch. They're still one of the best teams. And then, of course, Dwarfs and Humans, which I think have lost out in this edition. So far, again, still very early days yet. Right, anyway, thank you very much for listening to me ramble on about humans. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm not sure what we'll do next. I think we've had 2 more controversial ones, so we might go for a more straightforward one for the next one. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, bye for now.